Hello, everyone out there in TV land, and welcome to our date night.
Hello. Yes. Welcome and learn how to make a fabulous dinner for two by other members of our house. I'm one of your hostesses, Sister Donna Chernobyl, and this is Secrets in the Sauce.
Hello, everyone. We're so excited to have you all here tonight. If you're looking for any of the recipes for tonight, they're going to be in the event post, so you can actually follow along with us and hopefully make some of these amazing recipes for you and your special quarantine partner. Just remember that all these recipes are set for two, but you can always expand the recipe in case you're in a thruple, a quadruple, a quintuple. All of you polyamorous clans out there can keep it going.
All right. Are we ready for our first presenter?
I think so.
All right. First up with a little bruschetta is Sister Laura Intestines.
Laura, honey, we're
Oh my goodness, was my audio off? I'm so sorry.
you were talking
My
in
bad.
mine.
Nothing was coming out. So, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Laura Intestine, sister of the Bog of Eternal Stench, and tonight I'm going to make classic bruschetta for you guys. So, the recipe that I had originally called for was large tomatoes, but I've chosen Roma tomatoes for tonight, or Roma tomatoes. And I'm just going to dump this right here into my big bowl. And for a little color, I've added in here a bunch of cherry tomatoes that are in orange and yellows and greens. On top of that, we're going to add in our garlic. Now, I put a little bit of olive oil in here with my garlic so that it doesn't stick to my dishes. And it just makes it a little bit easier, and it kind of has some flavor that goes along with the others. So in here, I have about a half of a cup of chopped basil that I have thinly sliced, not chopped. I'm going to dump this all in here. Oh, that's wonderful. It already smells delicious.
That kitchen
And I'm
looks
going
so
to add
familiar.
in, I wonder why. And to that, I'm going to add a little bit of balsamic vinegar. Not too much because you don't want it to overpower everything else. And then a pinch of salt. And because I like a lot of salt, I'm going to put 2 pinches of salt. And then just for a little extra kick, I'm going to add in here some crushed red pepper.
Ooh, Mama loves a little heat.
Yes.
And then with a slotted spoon, I'm going to just mix everything together. I'm going to fold everything together. This is what folding means. Lifting from the bottom.
What do you mean by folding?
Lifting from the bottom and putting it on top. Oh my goodness. And then as you can probably see here, I'll get a little bit closer. It's colorful and yellow and orange and green and red.
One does want a
And
hint
then
of
earlier
color.
today, one does want a hint of color. And then earlier today, I kind of got everything prepared and I made these, what I keep calling croutons. They are the baguettes cut in bias, which means are on an angle. And I've toasted them for about 4 minutes on each side.
Ooh.
There's a little bit of olive oil that I've kind of drizzled on top just to kind of help make it crispy. And then because I am such a cheese whore, I added some cheese to the top of this as well when I flipped them over. Now, normally
Welcome
this
over,
would
baby.
sit in the fridge for about a half an hour so that all of the flavors can kind of merge together and meet each other and mingle and decide who's going to do what. And it's a wonderful garlicky, tomatoey smell. I'm just going to kind of spoon some of this right on top of my crouton that I keep calling it. Sorry. Bring this over here. So it's a delicious little appetizer. Oh, it's all over my chest. Sorry, I don't want to talk with my mouth full.
It looks so juicy.
This is so delicious. You have no idea. And it's as simple as that. Some classic bruschetta in under 20 minutes. Thank you very much. And next, we're going to swing on over to Kat and see what kind of wine pairings she has prepared for us.
Oh, lights, camera, and me without a stitch of makeup on. How is everyone tonight? I would love to pair a delicious Sauvignon Blanc. I've already had a little bit, just a little. You know, it's got that nice grassy herbal undertones to go with the sweetness of the tomatoes to really cut through it and just make for a delightful trip. All right. Cheers, everyone.
Ooh, I'm thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I can't hear secret.
Oh, sorry about that. I was talking in mime. So I think now we're going to switch over to Sister Pearl, who's going to show you our non-alcoholic beverage selection for this evening. Sister Pearl, honey, since we're flipping to you, if you could only eat one food item for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Liquor.
Liquor.
Well,
You brought her.
Why is she making the non-alcoholic?
that's later, girl.
It's all about inclusivity.
So for right now, what I'm going to do is make a little brisk, little raspberry basil lemonade for everybody. What I'm going to do is I already pre-poured our water, 5 cups. Add some lemon juice to it. It will be 2 cups. So that's going to be a little bit tart right now. Then, like every sweet little girl, you add your sugar, 1.5 cups. Stir it really, 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 really good. Think of a good night out of the club. Just stir, swish, you're walking down the aisle. Then we add a little bit of basil. It's going to be a teaspoon. Got a little handy dandy little scooping thing here. A little trick with the basil though is rub it around in your hand. It gets the oil nice and lubricated so it infuses a little bit better. Dump that in there. Then you just take your berries, the raspberries, and I just dry the spoon off a little bit and put as many in there as you like. Some people like to put ice in it. I don't. I think the berries cool it down enough. So there you have it, a raspberry lemonade with a little bit of basil in there. Back to you, gorgeous people.
Thank you, Sister Pearl. I do love something sweet and tart.
I usually prefer the salt for myself.
Yes.
All right, so now we're going to
Yummy.
jump over to Sister Sonata, whose wonderful idea this whole evening was, and she's going to teach us just how easy risotto can be. Welcome, Sister Sonata. So to kick off your segment, we'd like to ask you a question.
Sure.
If you could only eat one food item for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I think I would have to have ice cream of any flavor or shape or size. Ice cream is always that one go-to for me. I know, I'm a big girl. I like it creamy. I like it cold. What can I say? So, welcome everybody. As he said, it is novice Sonata Topp, and I am going to teach you how to make a nice steak marsala risotto. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe risotto is Italian for how we make rice more complicated. So, what we're going to do, if you notice, I have everything laid out on the table for me, or on my counter for me. And what we're going to do first is we're going to pour some olive oil into a pan, and we're going to heat that up a little bit so we can start sauteing our onions and our mushrooms. I've got a nice sizzle on it. Decided to preheat my stuff.
Oh, I love a good sizzle.
So we're only going to saute the onions and the mushrooms until the onions are becoming a little translucent, which should take maybe 2 minutes at most. It's not going to take that long. I'm going to let that go for a second. Now, while you are having everything prepared, what you want to do is you want to get your stock and wine mixture already pretty much heating on the stove. And if you want to make this vegetarian, you can use vegetable broth instead of a steak. You can do portobello mushrooms. You can do tofu. There's so many different ways that you can adjust this recipe to fit whatever need you may want. If you want a vegetarian, you probably can't go vegan because of the cheese and the cream, but there might be some recipes on how to do it a little bit better.
More options than Grindr on a Saturday night.
Exactly. Although, I don't know, there are a lot of options on Grindr on Saturday night. Especially in the quarantine when nobody can go out. Girl, there's a ton of options. So once it has cooked a little bit, we're going to add our rice. Now, the rice we're going to use is arborio rice. It's really hard to see, but this rice is thicker than normal rice. And we want it to be thicker because, of course, who doesn't like it a little thicker than normal rice?
Yahoo!
Right?
But it's going to help it absorb the liquid a little bit more often. Now, we're going to saute this and cook it until the rice has become a little opaque. It's not going to take all that long. See if I could turn on some light to make it a little bit easier. And there we go. So I have a little bit more light. Now, you want to keep it stirring because you don't want to actually burn the rice. You want to keep it so it's not just going to be sitting in one place for a little bit. Now, a lot of people tend to think that risotto is difficult to make or it's just very intimidating. But the thing with the risotto is it takes a while because a lot of it is just the time that you're going to be adding in the liquid. You're not going to be boiling the rice like you would any other rice dish. If you're adding it in stages, adding the liquid in stages, it helps the overall texture just become a really creamy, really decadent texture.
Ooh, decadent and creamy, two of my favorite adjectives.
So as you can see, if you guys can see it that well, some of the rice is starting to turn a little bit opaque. We're just going to give it a little bit longer. Let it cook a couple more seconds, and then we're going to start adding in our liquid. Now, when we add our liquid in, we're going to be doing it in about a third to half a cup at a time. Again, you don't want to add so much that you're just boiling the rice, but you don't want to add so little that it's not going to be absorbed by all of the rice. Now, also keep in mind that the mushrooms are going to absorb any liquid that you put in there as well. So it might need a little bit more liquid, but we're just going to have to see how this goes. Okay, so we're going to add in our first scoop of liquid. You're going to get a very big sizzle of steam. Just going to add in a little bit.
Steam it up. Who doesn't love it a little steamy?
So good for the pores.
Going to turn the heat up a little bit on this.
Yes, turn the heat up.
I'm already sweating.
And you're not even in the kitchen, girl. So we're going to let this cook until the liquid starts to be absorbed by the rice. And then we're going to add in just a little bit more liquid. And it won't take that long for it to be absorbed, especially in the early stages, because, girl, that rice is thirsty at the moment.
Ooh, I know how that goes. Quarantine thirst is real.
Yep. Doesn't even require a quarantine, girl.
Well,
Just don't help it none.
So this is the key point of risotto, is just keeping an eye on it and making sure you're adding more liquid in when the rice has absorbed all of the liquid. It's going to take a while. It could take anywhere between 30 minutes to 45 minutes, just all depending on how much you're making. So while we are letting this cook, why don't we cut over to novice sister Mary Masculine, and she will show us a nice cocktail that we can create to help pair with this meal.
Love a good cocktail.
time to wet our whiskey.
Well, hello. Thank you, Sonata. I'm novice sister Mary Masculine, and we're going to do a cocktail pairing based on the risotto with the steak. Risotto has a lot of earthy mushroom flavor to it, so I thought the perfect thing to pair that with would be a traditional dirty martini. Now, a traditional dirty martini is actually gin-based, not vodka-based, so when you order your martini, please specify. And as you can see behind me, I have all of my ingredients lined up. If you also notice, everything is in a green container, so it could almost be considered a side salad. That's how I like my salads. So first off, what I like to do is I'll take my vermouth, my dry vermouth, and I will actually put it into the martini glass because I'm not a person who likes it really wet, as they say. I like an extra dry martini. So it's basically just a swill in the glass, and then you dump out, and whatever's coating the glass is the perfect amount for your martini. I've already also prepared the ice in my shaker so that I can go ahead and pour about 2 ounces of your preferred liqueur or liquor. I like Tanqueray number 10. It's one of my favorites. It's got a really great flavor. It's aromatic. And I'll just pour 2 ounces. I also have my filthy chili pepper stuffed martini olives, and I will take the juice of these olives and pour, again, it could be half an ounce, it could be 2 ounces. Really, there's a graded scale. So if you like your martinis dirty, then you like about 1 ounce of olive juice or olive brine. Mary likes everything filthy. So if it's not 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces of olive juice in your gin, you're not doing it right. And then you're going to shake. What we're doing is we're bruising the gin. And I like it extra bruised. Now, once you have your concoction mixed up and chilled, you take your glass, and you're going to swill it around. Give it a good swill, and dump out the excess, because no one needs that much vermouth in their martinis. Strain out your gin and your olive juice mixture into your glass. And of course, you have to garnish it, because that's really where the salad comes in. And voila, bon appetit. Here's a perfect martini for a perfect entree.
Thank you, novice sister Mary Masculine. Ooh, I love a good dry martini.
Fantastic.
Now I
I
think
don't know
we're
about martinis, but I definitely like things dirty.
Oh,
So,
well.
back to the risotto. If we look, we added a little bit more liquid, so this is coming along just great. It's cooking up. So while I have this cooking, I'm going to go ahead and start working on my protein for this one. Because, girl, everyone needs a little protein in their life.
You gotta pay attention to your protein.
So we as the sisters always promote safe sex. So I would always volunteer to, you know, wear gloves when you're handling some meats. Now I'm choosing flank steak because it's going to be a lean meat that's going to cook pretty quickly. So what you want to do for this one is definitely get some salt and pepper on it. And you're going to use a decent amount of salt and pepper because a lot of that's going to kind of cook off as you cook it. And then I'm going to do the other side. And of course, I touched the meat with the hand that I was pepper grinding, so that was fun. So after you've done that, you're just going to massage it into the meat, because you always want to massage the meat. You got to massage it real nice. It's got to be nice and firm. Oh, yeah. So you want to also get a pretty hot pan, because when you start the pan, you want to hear that sizzle. Let's see if we're good enough. Yeah, it's pretty good. We're going to let it cook, and we're going to get it. So we're going to let that cook. We're going to get a good sear on it. Now, like I said, if you want to use any protein, this recipe works really great with portobello mushrooms. It'll work great with chicken, pork, really any protein that you can think of. And yes, any protein. Sometimes you want it a little creamier.
So you know what I was thinking.
Well, while that looks like it's going to sizzle in the pan and keep on cooking, we're going to cut back to Sister Pearl, and she's going to give us an update.
Hello. I decided that I would like to add a little bit of alcohol to that lemonade from earlier. So just simply a little champagne, get that little pop, and pour it in.
One does want some versatility in their beverage choices, and in the bedroom too.
Nothing like making that good little pop either. Pop. And just stir and serve.
I love the bubbles. Thank you, Sister Pearl, for that update.
You're welcome, ladies.
All right, then we're going to cut back to Sonata, see how that risotto and protein's doing.
Yes, because, you know, now I'm even more thirsty.
Sorry, I was just having a little spa day, getting a little steam facial. So we are doing pretty good on this. Added a little bit more of the broth. Now you want to basically taste it every once in a while because you want to see the firmness of rice. You don't really want a firm rice. You want a nice, soft, creamy rice. Definitely need some more time. Let me go ahead and...
rice firm is bad. Okay.
Yeah, unlike what you also like firm, rice you usually want it to be nice and soft. Gonna split the steak, get a nice sear on that side as well. So while I'm letting those cook, for those of you that don't know, I'll give a little brief introduction for the sisters. If you haven't seen us out before, and trust us, if you ever saw our face, you would remember that you saw the sisters out and about, because how can you forget this? But the sisters, we are an organization that we will go out, we will fight for queer rights and queer visibility. We will do safer sex outreach, remember, no gloves, no love. And we will try and help raise money for charitable organizations in our own communities to help out however we can with the LGBTQ plus community. We love going out there. We love having fun. Right now with the quarantine, it is harder for us to go out because obviously nobody can go out. But we still want to be able to have that presence in our community and have that fun and try and take people's minds off of the hellscape that it is out there going on these days. Yeah, a little bit more liquid.
And we're back.
And we're back. I know, I jump around a lot. So, Mr. Donna, what do you think, in your opinion, is the best thing about being a sister?
Oh, generally just being able to connect and make a difference in this community, either by showing people that they are loved, help teach safer sex practices, or raising some amazing organizations that are out and about.
Good, good. I like those answers. What about you?
And just, you know, being a crazy clown.
Who doesn't like being a crazy clown? What about you, Secret? What's your favorite thing about being a sister?
I think my favorite thing about being a sister is just the connection to our community. So I've had some really beautiful experiences just out and about. One of the things that is amazing about being a sister is really just being someone who's safe, an ear to listen, a shoulder to cry on, really just, you know, someone who can give you a hug, give you a little bit of love and joy and comfort. And it's just been amazing, all of the really significant moments in my sistery career of just being out amongst the community. And you never know when that one conversation is really going to make a difference for someone. And so really just being there for the members of our community and, you know, making sure that they know that they're loved and that they're valued and that they're worthy and that, you know, we just want them to know that we're here for them and, you know, like they always have a friend in the sisters.
Is that a quote from Toy Story? You've got a friend in me?
Well, you know, I mean, the Orlando sisters are kind of adjacent. I'm not, you know, going to name names, obviously, but
My waitress took forever with my drink.
Oh, that looks so good.
It smells heavenly in here right now. I'm going to flip the meat over. Actually, you know what? Let's get on the side. Now, the steak you can cook to however you want it, however your preference is. My preference is the correct preference, though, and that is medium rare. Anyone that does not like their steak medium rare, I'm not going to lie, I judge a little bit, but, you know, that's just me.
No guilt, no shame for those of you well done folks out there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Don't get those that like their steak dry and burnt.
Make sure you always flip your meat. It's better that way.
Amen, sister.
So, since this has a little bit longer to cook, I'm going to practice some cooking show TV magic. And I actually made some earlier. We're going to put this, try and find a place on the counter to put it. So, when it's all done, it's going to look a little bit like this. Now, we still have a couple more steps that we need to do. I'm just going to give this a good stir. So the last finishing touches that we have for our risotto is we're going to add in So creamy. Now we want to make it nice and creamy. So I'm not going to add in this full amount. I'm just going to add in a little bit. And give it a nice good stir. And this will help give it a nice texture. But also, I'm going to add in some Parmesan cheese. Now, you can use either shredded Parmesan cheese or you can use the grated Parmesan cheese. I personally prefer the grated just because it tends to melt a lot easier than the shredded does. So we're just going to sprinkle that in.
Cheese makes everything better.
It really, really does.
Oh.
I'm actually going to add in a little bit more
creamy.
Double helping.
So we're done. Exactly. We're in quarantine. We can work all this off once we're done. But you're going to get a nice,
you can take some to your mother.
I could. I probably won't, but I could.
Ooh, salty.
That is really good. So the last part that we have to deal with it is now adding, apparently sending rice flying everywhere. Let me turn this down so I don't burn this risotto while I'm trying to finish it off. Because that would be...
Yes, finish it off.
Okay. So, the last thing that we want to do is cut the steak. Now, typically, you're going to want to let it rest for about 5 minutes before you cut it. So I'm not actually going to cut the full thing. I'm just going to cut a couple segments off to kind of show you guys how you can plate this to make it look good and delicious. So I'm just going to cut little pieces.
That's an important fact. When you take the heat off your meat, you got to let it rest.
Oh, yes. 5, 10, 15 minutes. Wait, what were we talking about?
Resting your meat.
So I have a little tiny plate here, but it'll work because we're not going to want to plate a lot right now. So you're going to want to take your risotto.
And it doesn't matter.
And then you are going to, I'm going to use my fingers because I'm going to be the one eating this. You can have a nice plated with your steak, your risotto, and it will be delicious. It will all pair together, and it will be delicious. So that is how you can make a wonderful marsala risotto that will be sure to impress anybody that you make it for. Because so far, I think it's impressed everybody I've made it for. So, based on personal experience, it's a good recipe. Thank you for listening. Thank you for enjoying our little segment here. So I'm going to turn it back over to my mother, Donna Chernobyl, and Sister Secret.
Me?
Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Novice Sister Sonata.
All
now
right. I think there we go.
Oh, I think with dinner, we're going to kick it over to Novice Sister Catastrophe, just so we can get another pairing for our entree course.
Quarantines made me so thirsty. So for dinner, we have red. We're gonna open it. Yeah, fuck it. Just pull it all off. Take it all off. Throw it away. And in these times, nobody wants to do dishes. So just drink it straight out of the bottle. Cheers.
Well, thank you, Novice Sister Cat.
Wow.
While we got you on screen, how about we ask you if you could eliminate one food so no one would ever have to eat it again, what would it be?
Ooh.
So you asked the vegetarian, and I'm going to say bacon.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
whoa.
gonna need a moment to somebody get the vapors. Oh,
Oh my God.
a world without bacon.
Someone is never going to get out of novice.
Hmm.
Well, you know, everybody's got an opinion. Thank you, Novice Sister Cat. We appreciate
I'm going
you.
to go back to drinking now.
And now we're going to kick over to Sister Holly Cost, who's going to show us just how easy cheese blintzes can be. Ooh, she's got some shake going on in the kitchen.
Oh, yes, you do.
I'm so sorry. I didn't see you there. I apologize. I was just feeding something creamy. Anyway, hi, I'm Sister Holly Cost. I hope that's not too offensive, but I am, after all, an immigrant, handicapped, homosexual, atheist, Jewish, crossdresser. If I was a woman of color, I'd be all the minorities. Come at me. Now, today we're going to prepare a dish that sort of mirrors every culture's dishes. Every culture does have a filled, handheld, flatbread type of dish. Asians have their summer rolls, for example. The Greeks have their gyro. The Middle Easterners have their falafel inside the pita. And we, the Jews, have our cheese blintzes. Now, just in case you didn't know, and don't tell anybody this, cheese blintzes were, well, I don't know if I should say, but they're Eva Braun's favorite dish. That's why I call them cheese blitz Krieg. Never mind. Now, this is a total comfort food. It's cheesy, it's soft, it's sweet, it's oily, buttery, rich, creamy, sort of like me. Now,
I was going to say, this sounds an
on,
awful lot like me, minus the rich.
See? Now, everything that goes into this dish should all be pantry staples. Everything should be cheap and available during the current situation, maybe with one little trip to Instacart. And I'll explain that to you in a minute when we get to it. The good thing about this thing, the blintzes, is that you can make lots of them at one time, freeze them in the freezer, and you can eat them all through the rest of this pandemic, however long it might last.
I love something that freezes beautifully.
Don't we though? Furthermore, you can prepare each one of the components can be prepared up to 2 days in advance of actually cooking it. So if you don't have time, you can make the batter, leave it in the fridge for a couple of days. You can cook the blintzes, leave them in the fridge. You can make the filling, leave it in the fridge, and so on and so forth. So we'll start with our batter. First, we start with our flour. This is plain old, cheap, all-purpose flour. Now, I always weigh my ingredients. So this is 125 grams or 1 cup if you're going to go with a cup measurement. You want to fluff it a little bit to get rid of any lumps.
Always important to fluff it first.
Always is.
Love a good
To
fluffing.
that, I'm adding 1 tablespoon of powdered sugar. Now, if you don't have powdered sugar, you can use regular sugar. You can use Splenda. You can use maple syrup. You can use anything your little heart desires just to give it a little bit of sweetness. I know. Then
I can
just
dip my
a quarter
finger in
teaspoon. You can stick your finger anywhere you want, baby. Quarter teaspoon of salt, because whenever there's something sweet, you want a little bit of salt to bring out the sweetness.
Mm-hmm. That's why we have Donna here to set me off.
A little salty, I understand. That's all the dry ingredients whisked together. Second bowl, 2 eggs.
Same as the first.
And a cup of water. and our half teaspoon of vanilla. You want to beat those eggs like a redheaded stepchild. Get rid of any strings of white. And it's about done. Now, it makes it a lot easier if you bring the eggs to room temperature. Cold eggs are harder to beat than warm eggs. Now, this couldn't be simpler. Wet into dry. I tend to do, or I like to do, half of the wet first because it seems to be easier to beat the lumps out of the batter when there's not so much liquid there. So mix, mix, mix.
I'm still trying to beat out my lumps.
Not gonna take that bait. All right, whipping out the lumps. Now, when we're about done with these lumps, I like to go ahead and put in the oil at this time because it's easier to emulsify the oil into this rather than into all the liquids. So add the oil.
Big word. That's the word.
And keep whipping.
Now, Holly, what's your
once
oil
you're
of
done-
choice for this recipe?
My oil of choice is any fat you can find. I'm using olive oil because I'm being healthy. But you can use olive oil, you can use canola oil. If you're not allergic, you can use peanut oil. You can even, if you want to make this real extra, just melt some butter, let it cool a little bit, and put the melted butter in here. I know. And here's the rest of the liquids. And we're going to reserve this bowl. Now, once you've finished mixing all the wet into the dry, you'll notice that your batter is very, very thin. We want it that way.
Oh, no. Oh, okay, good.
I know. That's the one thing we want thin. Now, you want it to be about the same consistency as heavy cream, if you can see that. Now, if you were going to use this type of batter, you can. This is actually a very versatile batter. If you omit the powdered sugar and you just leave this with the salt, this becomes a crepe batter. And thin it out a little bit with more water. Oh, by the way, you can exchange the water for any other liquid: milk, soy milk, plant-based milk, almond milk, whatever turns you on. Party on. So if you thin it out just a little bit more and omit the sugar, it becomes crepe batter. And then you can make this, crepes are exactly the same thing as this, only they have no sugar in them. Thinner batter, bigger pan. We'll get to that. Now, because I'm tired and I'm lazy, I'm using the same dirty bowl to mix my filling. It's not gonna matter, it's all gonna get cooked away. Ricotta cheese. If you don't have ricotta cheese, you can use sour cream, you can use Greek yogurt, but in either case, whatever you do, I suggest that you put your cup or your half cup of ricotta cheese into a very fine mesh sieve or colander, or if not, you can put it in a coffee filter over another cup. Drain away the whey.
No whey.
And I know whey. And then thicken it up, and you can use it. It'll make your filling a lot thicker. To that, room temperature cream cheese.
Thicker.
I know. Room temperature cream cheese, again, important to get it to room temperature. It's going to mix a lot more easily if it's room temperature. Beat those two together. Oh, and if you want to be extra, instead of the cream cheese, use some mascarpone.
Oh, I love.
Have you ever had? You've had mascarpone, right? You know what that tastes like. It tastes like heaven on a spoon. Now, to this mixture, which is...
I don't know, but I just heard
cheeses.
being extra, and that's me.
Well, call up Instacart. To this, we're going to add 1 egg yolk. Now, don't make the same mistake I did and throw the whole egg in. That won't work. That's going to make your batter, or your filling rather, really, really, really thin, and it's not going to work. However, if you want to double this recipe, literally all you have to do is just double all the ingredients. I'm sure you can do that math. And in that case, instead of breaking 2 eggs and getting 2 yolks, just use the whole egg. Simpler. Okay, mix the yolk into the cheeses. To that, we're going to add another half teaspoon of vanilla. Notice how all of the ingredients repeat so you don't have to deal with too many different shopping trips. Again, powdered sugar. I like my filling a little sweet, so I'm doing 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar. If you want it a little less sweet, use less. If you want it more sweet, use more. If you want, again, maple syrup, Splenda, whatever turns you on. Party on.
It's a long list.
Powdered sugar. And then, last but not least, barely a pinch of salt. Now, if you are using ricotta, ricotta is salty already, much like some sisters.
Mm-hmm.
So you just want a little hint of salt added to it. You don't want your filling to turn down to be too salty. If you're going to use one of the other kinds of cheeses or the Greek yogurt, you might want a little bit more salt. But if you're not afraid of salmonella, you can just stick a finger in there and taste it and decide how sweet or how not it is. So, mix.
Salmonella, is that a guard?
I'm sure it has been.
I think he's in the San Francisco house.
I wouldn't be surprised.
There you go.
Now, nice smooth filling. Let me just make sure. Hang on. In this age, wash, wash, wash.
Wash your hands, wash your hands.
Did you sing happy birthday while you washed your hands?
Yes.
She hasn't been touching the
Okay.
public. She's okay.
I've only been touching myself, and since it's my finger going into my mouth. Now, filling is mixed.
Well,
I would suggest putting a lid on it, stick it in the fridge while you're making your crepes. Be right back.
where'd you go?
I'm back. Did you miss
Oh,
me?
there she is.
Here I is.
Desperately.
Now. Oh, so sweet. Magically, I just turned on the heat under this pan. Now, I'm using an 8-inch nonstick pan. You can use a 10-inch pan. You can use a 12-inch pan, depending on how big you want your blintzes. I like them small because you can eat more of them that way. Because, you know, half as large, you can have twice as many. And you do want to have a nonstick pan, though, because stainless steel will stick. So, a little bit of oil, or if you want to be extra, butter.
Yes,
into the
I
bottom
do.
of the pan. Of course, but in this case, we're going cheap, so oil. Make sure that your pan is warm. Then you're going to take your batter. Make sure that you remix it because the oil will separate out a little bit, so mix it again. And in order to make this easy, I'm using a 1/4 cup measuring cup, and I'm going to fill it about 3/4 full, so not all the way to the top. This is for my 8-inch pan. If you're going to use a 10-inch pan, fill this up to the top and use it. If you're going to use a 12-inch pan, I would suggest going up a size to the 1/3 of a cup, measuring cup, and use that.
12-inch.
I know.
And if you're going to use a 12-inch, you might want to stretch first. I mean,
and lube up a lot more. So we got our batter, we got our pan. That might be a little too much oil, but who cares? Make sure that the pan is hot enough. And the first one is usually a bust, so deal with it. First pancake is usually garbage. So we pour all
Just
of the
like a
batter into the
marriage,
center
according
of the
to my
pan.
aunt.
Right. Pour it into the center of the pan and then swirl it around. And what you're going to get is you're going to get this very thin pancake that coats the entire bottom of the pan. See that?
Mm-hmm.
And literally, it's going to cook in a minute. Now, the good thing about these is that we're only going to cook them on one side. So the bottom is slightly golden brown, and the top is dry to the touch, if you're not scared of touching it. If you are, you'll be able to look at it, and you'll see tiny little bubbles come up and pop. That means it's done. Or if you're not afraid, you can pick it up and see if it's golden. It's not golden yet, but 60 to 75, maybe 90 minutes if your heat is low, and it'll be done. We'll give it just a couple of seconds more. Now, If you want to make this gluten-free, and I have tested this out, you can use one of the gluten-free baking mixes. You're just going to need to use a little bit more because a cup of that weighs, I think, like 140 grams. So you may have to use a little bit more of that. And then I would definitely suggest using a milk of some kind, whether it's plant-based or cow-based milk, because those extra proteins will help.
Cow.
I know. Vegans, trust me, I tried to make this vegetarian or vegan and gluten-free, and you can't. This is one of those that you either need the eggs or you need the gluten. You can't have neither. It just does not work. So let's
They
see.
do all of them.
Look at that, barely golden, a little warm, but the top is dry to the touch. We'll do one more because these are so good when they're fresh. And you do not need to oil your pan after every one. You can oil it once every few. And basically all you're gonna do is sit here and just run through all of them. So 1/4 of a cup, swirl, 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 drip, 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 all over the counter.
The swirling motion is
And-
so important.
Yeah. And by the way, I tried to do it from this side when I
So
was
is the
rehearsing.
dripping.
Well, I tried to do it from this side when I was practicing this. I can't do it with my right hand, even though I'm right-handed. I can only do the swirl with my left hand.
Me too, girl. Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, there's some things that you just can't be ambidextrous about, you know? All right, let's see if this one, literally, like I said, literally seconds, 60 seconds, 75 seconds, maybe. Oh, so once you've done the entire bowl of batter, you've made your crepes. The recipe says that it'll make 9. If you use an 8-inch pan, it'll probably make about a dozen. If you use a bigger pan, it'll probably make about 9. Like a 10-inch pan will probably give you about 9 of them. If you're not ready to go ahead and fill them and fry them up immediately, you can stick them in the fridge for 2 days, like I said. Or if you need to store them longer, you can keep them as is, but separate them with little bits of wax paper or parchment paper, stack them up inside of a zip top bag, throw them in the freezer, they'll keep forever. And then when you're actually ready to fill them and fry them, take them out, defrost them overnight in the fridge, and keep going from where you Okay, here we go. A little underdone, but good enough. Okay, next step. Are you ready? Moving on to this side.
Time to put the filling.
Exactly, you gotta fill them up, baby. Fill them up. We got our pancakes, fridge, and filling. Hopefully your filling has firmed up a little bit in the fridge by cooling down. This is so easy and so fun. I hope you can see my mat over here, because we're gonna take a pancake. We're gonna set it down on the mat. We're gonna use the fried side and set the fried side down. We're gonna take, depending on the size of your pancakes, if you're using larger pancakes, use more filling. If you're doing the smaller pancakes, about 1 heaping tablespoon is all it can take. Slap
Just
on
remember,
your cream.
if it's larger, you need more filling. Just saying.
So you slap on your cream right at the bottom of your pancakes. Then you fold your pancake over, pull it back a little bit, then fold in from the left, fold in from the right, and then keeping everything inside, trying not to squirt it out, fold it over, and you get a cute little package. Can you see that? Then set it aside. We'll do another one. Fried face down. I know how we like our faces down. Big old scoop of cream. Slap it on. Take your bottom, fold it over. Fold left, fold right, just like a little Jewish burrito. And then roll it on over. Cute little package. Exactly. Now, by the way,
love
remember
it,
how I said about gluten-free?
Everybody
package.
loves a cute little Jewish package. I know. Remember how I said about the gluten-free? When you make them gluten-free, they tend to get a little holy. But they're just as good. I made these last week, actually. I had them in the freezer. I defrosted them. Just as good. Can fill them, fry them, go to town. So let's pretend we've filled all of them. We've folded all of them. Back to the pan. Back on the heat. And this time we're going to go crazy. Now, here, if you don't care about health, if you don't care about money, use butter. Trust me, use butter.
Always use butter, baby.
If you can, use butter. But I'm going to be cheap and healthy and put some oil in it. So same oil, again, olive oil, because who cares? You want to put enough oil to coat the bottom of your pan.
Always want to coat that bottom.
You want a greasy bottom. And you want to get that oil a little bit warm. I've got them on medium.
Mm-hmm.
And once the oil has come up to temperature, let's say that's temperature, you're going to take your little blintzes, seam side down into the oil, and you can hear it frying. Again, seam side down into the oil. Oh yeah. And now that's going to fry up for about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. What you want is you want the bottom to get golden brown and delicious. It's going to get a little bit crunchy, a little bit crispy. But if you remember, because we filled it, because we fried it originally only on one side, that's the side that's getting into the oil right now. So that first side is going to get crustier. The inside is still going to be fluffy and moist and delicious. And then the heat from frying is going to cook that egg yolk that we put in the filling. The heat is going to cook it, so you don't have to worry about eating raw egg yolk because it's cooked. So let's take a quick look.
You know, it's hard to say something like innuendo-y when you keep saying crusty.
Crusty, creamy, cheesy.
Creamy's good.
Hey, some people like the cheese, some people like the crust. It's okay. No judgment here.
Right. Different strokes for different folks.
Exactly. No judgment from anybody.
Different strokes.
These are frying up beautifully. And, oh, look at that. Hang on, I'll flip the other one over and you can see. Oh, shut your face. Can you see? I can't tell. Can you see golden and delicious? Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And then the other side, same thing. If you want them a little bit crunchier, you can. If you want a little bit crustier, you can. I like them. I don't care about the salmonella issue because I usually have fresh eggs, Costco. So I undercook them a little bit. The thing is that when you take them out of the pan, before you eat them, you have to let them cool a little bit. Otherwise, when you bite in, it's kind of like getting pizza and just sticking it in your face. It will be hot lava squirting out of that thing. I know we like squirting. I know we like hot.
That sounds.
But there's a limit.
Yeah.
Don't want to burn yourself.
Yeah, you want to be able to taste.
I was going to say that just sounded painful and yet so hot at the same time.
I know. Okay, I think these are about done. These are a little bit underdone, but you know, you take what you can get when you're in times of quarantine. Look at that. Now imagine all of that oil actually being butter and what that will taste like. So we've got these
I always
two.
do.
Going to add them to the pile that I made earlier. And, oh, you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to cut into one of these.
Let's see what that looks like. Oh, yeah, exactly. Can you see it? Can you see
Oh,
it?
yes.
I know. So when you serve them, you can always just
I'm so
put
hungry.
them on a plate, give it a little bit of zhuzhing with some powdered sugar, and of course, because we're on TV, we're gonna throw a little bit of mint on it.
Mm.
Now, again, these are so versatile. You can serve them with maple syrup. You can serve them with a side of berries. You can serve them with whipped cream on top. You can serve them with honey. You can serve them with Nutella. You can serve them with almost anything. You can serve them on almost anything or anyone. Just saying. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you coming to our event. I appreciate you joining us. And I'm telling you, make these, they're worth the effort. So from me to you, stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, and tell the people you love how much you love them.
Thank you, Sister
I
Holly.
love you, Sister Holly.
Love you too, baby.
And you know my address. Just saying.
I'll get in the car
Just
in
saying.
this get up and drop them by.
Yes. Curbside blintzes to go.
I'll just throw them at your front door. If you hear a knock, it's
Yes.
Blintzes.
That's fine. I'll leave them off the flow.
Done.
So now I think we're going to kick back over to Novice Sister Kat, who has our dessert pairing.
What?
Yes.
Hey, what am I doing again?
You're going to do our dessert pairing, honey.
Tequila. How about that? That goes good. Just enjoy. Can I go back to bed now?
Tap out.
Okay.
You're good, darling. Thank you.
Night.
Night. All right.
Okay, somebody tap her out. Tap, 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 tap.
Bless her heart.
She's got me clutching my pearls. Well, I say pearls. Yeah.
Well, we just want to thank you all for joining us for date night tonight and learning hopefully how to make some yummy, yummy food for yourself and whoever you might be self-quarantining with. Once again, all of our dessert recipe, or not all of our dessert recipe, all the recipes are in the event. So feel free to go in and download those. There's also a handy dandy shopping list for everything. So if you want to make this at home, please do. We encourage you to make sure that you're cooking yourselves up some good, good food while you're sitting at home and enjoying a little extra time with your loved ones.
Yes, absolutely. And also, if any of you try these recipes, please share it with us. Also, especially if you experiment and make things a little crazy, show us the results. That'll be so much fun.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of our segment this evening. So we just want to thank all of you for joining us out there in TV land. We wish you to, safe and happy evenings, and just know that the Orlando sisters love you.
Oh, I'm back. Hi. I was just so sad that I didn't get out all the innuendos that I wanted to. So, I'm just gonna say cock, penis, boner, semen. All those. Good night.
I'm sure we'll do this again.